Zensters. It's Richard Haick. I haven't been on for a minute, but I wanted to jump on and talk about something real quick I saw on Twitter a few hours ago. Mayor Libby Schaaf from Oakland basically called for, again, capping Highway 980. She tweeted a reply about capping, and they talked about it was a reply to a video in which they talked about how highways divide neighborhoods, usually neighborhoods that are poor and people of color. And the important thing that came out of this was the capping, and the people didn't really seem to understand what capping meant. And it didn't mean that filling it in. That has been an idea to basically just fill it in and make it a park area. But that's not really what they're calling for. I-980 is vastly important. It does split West Oakland and downtown Oakland. That's what highways do. I mean, they're going to split neighborhoods. You would think that they would flow over into some areas, but they do, like train tracks, the wrong side of the tracks. They definitely do split up, good neighborhood, bad neighborhood. Who wants to be next to the railroad tracks, or who wants to be next to this giant overpass full of, big polluting trucks and that sort of stuff. They always put this dirty stuff in bad neighborhoods. If you go in, looking at oil refineries or any sort of place that does anything, oil, steel, factories are generally in depressed areas. One, the land's cheaper, and people think that living near the jobs is gonna get them out of that area, and it never does. Those are usually the people who don't work there. Anyways, the idea of capping isn't filling it in. That's just a wrong idea, and there's a lot of people who were replying that, what are we going to do? Weren't we supposed to shut it down? 980, served as a rescue to Oakland when the freeway collapsed on 880. When that collapsed in the earthquake, that served as a lifeline, serving, connecting 580 to 880, the bridge traffic when it reopened back to Oakland and down through 880 and into, East Oakland and further, into like Fremont and down to San Jose, or even getting back to the other side of the bay when the bridge was closed. You could at least get down to the San Mateo Bridge or the Dunbarton Bridge and cross over and come back up to the other side, or you could still go, the other way. You could have gone to Marin and then come across the Golden Gate, but then you'd pay 2 bridge tolls. But that's just the idea. What capping really does would be basically making 980 a tunnel. There are several instances of it locally. The one I definitely think of, it's a little different. It's is on Broadway in San Francisco. Once you go, I guess it'd be westward, going towards Van Ness from the bay, like from Battery Street, and go past all the strip clubs, and you go through a tunnel, and there's houses and stuff up there. That's actually a hill, but it's the same idea, is that you could build a cover, still allow the traffic to come through, but you would be using that area as a park. You could put some buildings on it, smaller buildings. Large high rises would not take the weight, I would think. I mean, engineers have done crazier things. There's a major thoroughfare going right through a hotel. I believe it's a hotel going through New York City. Anything can happen. I wouldn't put these things past, but then, you had people going, well, why don't we make tunnels that go all the way down to Jack London Square? I'm like, Broadway and Washington and Alice and Jackson Street and Castro, they go all the way through. We'll get you right there to to Jack London from downtown from various points. But 24 also, closing it would be absurd. Again, not only does it connect 880 and 580 and the Gold San Francisco Bridge and the and 80 coming through Emeryville, that 980 serves as that link between them. It also serves Highway 24. And if you shut that down, you would be shutting down a major lifeline to places like Montclair, but even more so to places like Children's Hospital, which is right off of Martin Luther King exit, which is just past where 980 becomes Highway 24. So we're talking kids. That's a children's hospital. It's a major trauma center for children. Burn unit, you name it, they take care of it. Cancer centers. If you're in a major car accident and your child's injured, you're going to that hospital. They even treat adults apparently, but not too much. It's an important hospital. That's what I'm trying to get to. It also connects places like Temescal to the rest of the area. You could go down, sure, you could go down Broadway and get from Temescal or San Pablo Avenue, but then you've got to go through the traffic. I mean, that's a nice artery and get around. I think people need to think about these things a little bit more before they just jump on the conclusion that something's getting closed or they're filling it in or they're going to do something. It's like, no, just calm down. It's a major project. Oakland has its hands full with other things that it needs funding for. It's a bright idea, and if they get the money, they get the money. It's a 2-mile stretch. It's not technically cut off because there are streets that go over. They're like, I believe 12th Street, 19th Street, 17th. I believe they all go over and connect you. But you do definitely see a huge difference between going from Castro over to the other side where West Oakland is. It's more noticeable now than a few years ago. Even maybe 20 years ago, maybe less. That part of Oakland was pretty blighted. I remember going to, there was a gym over there, a boxing gym that I was at, and martial arts school I was with, they took it over. I believe it was on Jefferson. Anyways, that whole area was like halfway houses. There were crackheads, there were hookers, a lot of homeless people. It wasn't so dissimilar from what we see in West Oakland as it is now. People basically have gentrified that part. They've also starting to gentrify the further part of West Oakland, where like on Wood Street and stuff. You wouldn't see moms pushing baby strollers, white moms pushing baby strollers a few years ago. You see a lot of that now. They built all those condos. There's some nice Victorians over there. That park has been completely changed over. They've made that whole part of Mandela Parkway is pretty much a park. So just think of Mandela Parkway with cars running underneath it. And that's kind of what they want to do with 980. Some people compared it with Boston's Big Dig. Well, we're not building, subway tunnels and that sort of thing underneath it. We're just going to go a couple miles. We're going to put some parklets, maybe some smaller buildings and businesses. Who knows what could come of it. But we're definitely not going to be shutting down 980. It's too vital to the Bay Area and to Oakland. And with things the way they are, and hopefully, a new ballpark coming in a few blocks away, maybe some, when COVID, finally blows over and we're back to normal, maybe we'll start seeing some more nightlife. Maybe we'll start seeing some other development down in that area. There's some new high-rise condos. There's a new hotel coming. It's supposed to be a luxury hotel, brought to you by Lou Wolf, who formerly was an owner of the A's. There's a lot happening downtown, and that's going to be a vital piece to serving that area. Otherwise, you end up with traffic everywhere. Somebody was like, well, why don't we do the environmental thing and close it? Well, you do that, and now you're going to push traffic elsewhere. You're going to have to go around. So you can go 2 miles straight line through downtown, and connect from 980 to 580, or to the bridge, or to Highway 24, or you can go 5 or 6 miles around any direction, and you have more exhaust coming out of your car because you're taking that extra road. You're stopping and going. There's a lot more opportunity to create more pollution. So it's not a good idea. I think people are jumping the gun too much. Yeah, Oakland has bigger fish to fry. Not just more police, but more good police. I think that's a big problem in Oakland. We've seen a lot of corruption in the police department, and hopefully things like that will eventually come out in the wash, and we'll find out, or we'll find good replacements for these officers, and we'll find the money for more people. We got schools are a problem, libraries are a problem, our parks are a problem. COVID's hit Oakland pretty hard, and when you don't have that revenue from parking, you don't have that revenue from just tickets. I hate to say it, but that's a major piece of revenue for cities. But you also don't have the sales tax. You don't have the property tax. These are all big things that are contributing to how Oakland gets its money to pay for these things. You can't just always rely on state dollars and federal dollars to come in and rescue you. And those will be available at some point, but they're not going to be at that level where you're going to be, unless it's something that's specifically earmarked for transportation. They're not just going to blow that money on capping a freeway instead of, vital needs in the city. There's, I don't know how many people are homeless, but the camps are getting bigger. They're huge. They're spreading. There's parks. I'm like, I didn't even know there were parks until I really started seeing the tents pop up. I'm like, oh, there's an empty space, and now there's 24 people who are got tents and garbage everywhere. It's we've got other things we need to be doing other than worrying about what freeway is going to get capped and that sort of thing. Again, it's not closing down. She's just saying, hey, maybe we should put a cover on it. We've seen some really cool stuff in other countries where they've done similar things. They've done it in more rural areas and allows wildlife to go across the highway without being on the highway, and they can, leading to less traffic and or less deaths of animals and less traffic accidents caused by collisions with animals, or having to avoid collisions with animals. And it offers more green space. We can plant some trees, we can put some grass. It's more open space. These are things that people want. Not only does it serve a purpose, it also makes your city look better. I don't know why we don't want to do these things in Oakland. They're important projects. They beautify Oakland. And when you have a beautiful city, you bring people. People want to come see your city. So when we have these beautiful shots of anything, really, downtown or Lake Merritt and stuff, that makes people want to, they're like, we should check out Oakland. Next time we go to San Francisco, why don't we go swing by Oakland, take a look? Maybe we'll go shopping, have a meal, go catch a show, maybe a baseball game. There's a lot of opportunities in Oakland. And I don't think Oakland is stupid enough to shoot itself in the foot by shutting down a major artery into and out of the city. Anyways, it was supposed to be a little short one, but I've gone almost 15 minutes. Anyways, I will be back quite a bit more. As baseball starts, I will be at spring training this weekend. I'll be at the Dodgers and Reds games coming up, and I'll be doing some live stuff from there. So definitely tune in. I definitely want to talk about spring training and what's going on. Some of these new guys the A's have signed, guys that we have lost. You know, A's came out with a new ticket package today. There's a lot going on, and I'd love to talk to you guys more about it. And maybe I might do that in the next day or so. But I will definitely be back this weekend. So hopefully I'll see you guys then. And yeah, that's Cap 980. Let's see what happens. Take care.